thank you for coming, first of all, because my biggest fear was not that I will say something stupid, but actually that the room will be empty. So thanks a lot that not only my colleagues are here. Okay, the topic is quite long and there's a lot of words in it, but basically I will be talking from the experience of our company, what we do every day, how to move from PC or Steam or Epic, like whatever you call it, to the console world, and how to do it smart and avoid some troubles. Sorry. Okay, so who we are. That's a snapshot from our website. I'm not going to focus about that too much. We call Silesia Games. We are a company based in the Silesian region, and currently we have almost 15, 20 employees, something like that. We do port games to consoles. We are a partner of PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, of course, and we also are on Steam. So a few things happened last year. We opened a new office in Cieszyn. We also increased the staff significantly, and we also celebrated our 10 years anniversary. So we are 10 years in a business. We originally we developed a few games ourselves, and now we are focusing on porting and publishing games to consoles. More on our website if you want to visit. So a few words about myself. That's me. Well, that was me a few years back, but that's my only good photo, so I'm gonna rock that one for a bit. What I do. My sole key role is the account management. So basically, I talk with the developers. I'm trying to explain what we do, and I manage their everyday needs, and then also guide through the whole process and make sure that all the questions are answered. And basically, that's what this lecture is about. We as a team put it all together because pretty much I hear all the same questions, and to make it simple for everybody, I made this presentation out of it to answer them, hopefully, in an interesting way. But also I'm a gamer. I'm an active PS5 gamer. That's my console of choice. So I not only work in the industry, but I also enjoy it. So I think that's quite important to have a bit fun out of it. Okay, so I made a few assumptions that you are here because you either already developed a Steam game, a PC game, or you are in early access, or you want to be or working on a PC project, but you didn't move to the consoles yet. So that's my assumption. Hopefully it's right. So I thought about it. What skills, what key characteristics are needed for you to be on the PC already or working on a PC game? Well, definitely you need to have some skills, especially if you are a sole developer or within a small team. You need to know how to program, how to design, of course, do graphics, etc. Or have contacts and resources to hire a team that will make music for you, will make some graphics, and so on. But also you need a vision, okay? You need to know what you want to do. You need to have a plan. You need to execute that plan. You cannot stop in the middle because obviously then the game is not finished. So you need to be resourceful. You need to have dedication. All that stuff, I think, it's quite true. And also time, because more often than not, I deal with people who makes games part-time. So after hours, in the evenings, during weekends, so it takes years instead of months, usually. So definitely a lot of time is needed. So if you want to be here, because Switch is still being perceived as the main console for indie games, and that's what we deal with mostly, you need to have a new set of attributes or skills, but ideally you also want to be here. Not true for all games, because sometimes it doesn't make sense to port to every platform, but usually yes, because you never know. You never know which platform will become the strongest for your game. We have some experience, we have some assumptions, or we make guesses, let's say, and then we can decide, okay, it doesn't make sense to, for example, release on PlayStation, but in the end, the market will decide. So you might consider porting to all three. So what is needed to be a part of the console world if you only know the PC world? Well, definitely new skills. Yeah, the programming is a bit different. The environment is different. The requirements are quite different. I'm going to talk about that later on. More time for sure, especially if you, as I said, work part-time. That's another project you need to do for significant amount of time. Unless you hire somebody, then you need more resources. You need a new hardware, yeah, because while working on a PC, you probably already have a PC, you have a laptop, and that's often enough. For consoles, it's obviously not enough. Dedication, sure, the same as before, you need to go through, but this time you need to consider things like legal stuff, like requirements from platforms which are different from every platform, like filling out forms, like be faced with the failed certification. I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. And ideally, it would be great if you had somebody who already done it, or make a cooperation, because it's almost like, you know, building a house yourself. You can do it, of course, but doing it the first time, you will have quite a lot of hurdles along the line. So the path to the goal. First, do it yourself. That's I'm not going to talk too much about it. Of course, doable, especially if you have a small, like let's say, logic game or puzzle game. Then to release on Switch would be quite easy. But again, you need to become a partner of Switch, which takes time, and there are procedures, and then you need to have a hardware, and so on and so on. But doable. Second one is split the job. So it might be, for example, that you do the porting. Maybe you have the dev kits already. Maybe you have somebody who have them. You can I don't know, borrow them or buy used ones. And you are a skilled programmer, so obviously you're gonna program it yourself. You're gonna test it, and then you only need somebody to publish it. Okay, so you are still a developer, and you looking for a publisher. The other way around, you do not want to waste time on porting. Investing in the new hardware, and you hired a team for porting, and in the meantime you're trying to become a partner of Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and then you release it under your own name. So two paths are possible. And of course the third one, you hire a team, you just make hopefully a good sign a good contract for you, of course, and just expect results, right? And maybe in the meantime, work on a new game, because then you have spare time. You don't need to worry about the port. So before you make that choice, if you happen to be in that place where you're thinking about different paths to the goal, you need to consider a few things. First is that, sorry, I'm looking, because every time I press the button, I don't know if I press it twice or once. It's very sensitive. First, the hardware. I already mentioned that. That's an estimate, €3,500. It might be wrong. We bought ours a few years back, and then we bought a new version. But more or less, it's somewhere along that number, and that is one set. Yeah? If you want to have every version for PlayStation, so old generation, new generation, Xbox, then you want to have a Switch one. This is pretty much the cost you need to invest. And for some, it will be not significant at all. It's not a very, very big number. But if you're a solo dev working part-time, that might be a problem initially, because you need to invest. Now, this is the most time-consuming, I'd say, a part of the slide. Okay, I cannot see the light. Doesn't matter. Technical requirements. There are a lot of checkboxes that you need to have checked before the game is certified. There are a lot of rules and like a small fine print in the contracts with the platforms that you need to consider. Releasing game on Steam, you have a great procedure when you can have early access. The game doesn't have to be finished. You can work on it in the meantime. You can have feedback from the players and then fix bugs, etc., etc. With consoles, the game pretty much needs to be finished and working and do not have bugs that are game breaking. It's very difficult to release a game that doesn't work on consoles. It's quite easy to do it on Steam. So things like memory allocation, things like handling controls in a way that each platform does it differently. Even the small things like having the different translations implemented, yeah, so it displays the right, let's say, Japanese or Chinese. It is all really checked, okay? You can have your game perfectly looking, working till the last level, and then the certification is failed because, you know, some odd language is not displayed correctly. And also, the rejection is quite it's quite costful, if I can use that word. It's better not to fail too many times, because then you as a partner is not being seen as a professional, let's say. So you really need to have that in mind, that the first or second certification should be the successful ones. Of course, we have different projects. On some, we had more rejections. On some, was on the first try. But you basically learn along the lines. So if this is project number 10 or 12 or 15, then you obviously need what to pay attention to. That sounds not obvious, but it's really a key part of the process here. Also, the SDK, the platform, changes, maybe not very often, but quite often. I asked today earlier when I was preparing last bits of information before this presentation, how often the versions changed during our experience. And I found out that when we started with Switch 5 or so years ago, there was version 6 of SDK, and now it's 18. And why is that important? If you happen to be very slow with your development of the project, and in the meantime the version changes, you cannot supply that version for certification. You need to do the updates. So you need to go back to the projects and maybe change even the first lines in your code. Again, not very obvious, but something you have to have in mind. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not like filling forms, and there's quite a lot of them when it comes to platforms. And again, each platform handles it differently. So the whole certification process again is paperwork. If you happen to have English language as not as your main language, then maybe you need to update on your legal terms a bit, because even becoming a partner, it's a procedure you need to go through. Also, there are rules when it comes to store and when it comes to trailers. And that's really important to us, especially because we believe that store and trailer are the most important marketing bits that are out there for indie games, especially. And they need to look perfect and be as good as possible. And they also pay attention to it. So, for example, if you release on Steam, it's pretty much like Facebook. Whatever you put there goes. Maybe if it's offensive, okay, then you have some rejection. But you design the content. You can have it short. You can have it long. The graphics are up to you. The wording is up to you. When it comes to console, there's a specific format you need to consider. You need to follow. All the graphics, all the translations. I think for PlayStation, it's like 50 languages you have to have supported for every game. Okay, so it also it probably should be a good quality translation, so no Google Translate. And these are the things that you need to again follow. Okay, it's not like free for all. You need to stick to the rules. For trailers, interesting. I have two stories for you. One thing to say first, we do most of the time live action trailers. So we hire actors, we work with kids, we work with adults, we film like living rooms and sometimes in the field. And especially for Switch, we show a console that you can take it anywhere, basically, in the park, in the forest, for example, and play the game. So we had a few rejections of our trailers, not because it was offensive or it was looking bad or was too long, but one time we were filming on the train station, and the two kids were holding a Switch console and they were standing on the platforms. There was no train. It was during the low time. It was nice sunny weather, and we filmed that. We put it into the montage, and the trailer was looking very nice. But Nintendo said, okay, sorry guys, we cannot accept that because those kids are standing too close to the trucks. Okay, so they paid really attention to stuff like security, like general. They really watch it. It's not like they accept it right away. So unfortunately, we wanted that scene badly in our trailer. We need to go back to the location, wait for the sunny weather, film it again, and really pay attention to show that their feet are behind the line. Yeah. Other one is even funnier. Again, Nintendo. We were filming a trailer to, I think, Hidden Objects game. And basically, we were showing a person calling. Oh yes, because in the game there's a scene where you like accept jobs, and there's a phone icon there. So we thought we're gonna show somebody talking on the mobile. We didn't show the logo. We didn't show the actual phone. It was just the person holding a black object near the ear. Nintendo said, we cannot show phones. We have to reject it. They didn't go into specifics. But we believe the reason is that if we show the trailer, the only digital device should be their console. So something that would never, we had that in mind. We never thought about it. So again, that caused us some troubles. We need to reshoot. But why I'm saying about this? There are rules. It's not like Facebook where you basically do what you want. This is pretty much like we all know that, and it's a slogan, but I really do believe that because sometimes I hear people. This is not from the gaming industry, but somebody, my family, for example, brags that he's so proud that, for example, he did the whole house renovation on his own. Okay. I'm not talking about paintings, but I'm talking about tiling, for example. So put the tiles in the floor or in the walls in a bathroom. And I said, okay, great. So you saved some money, okay? But how long did you do it? Well, a month between the jobs, and then we had to use another bathroom, and it was confusing and crazy for a month. So, sometimes it's worth considering just paying for a job and do not worry about that too much. And that's pretty much what it is with the console porting, because it's another job that maybe you're gonna find somebody who does it better, and you have a free mind to do other stuff. So this is basically what I do. I am usually a first contact with solo teams or solo developers or a small dev studios, bigger with every project. So I approached them, or I'm approached by them, and we talked about how to do this, what's the first step, how to move forward, where's the start. And the most important factor is a single one. Does anybody have any idea what that word will be next? What's the most important factor between developer, publisher? Okay, that's a good one. Anybody? Huh? Yes, exactly. Because consider this, you have a guy who spends years on his project, so that's pretty much like his baby, right? He cares about every detail, he cares about every line of code, and then he basically needs to share that code with people he never met. Because we, for example, deal with people on 5 continents, and most of them we never met. We sometimes have video calls, but usually the start is email. So we need to somehow generate this trust and show that we are not just some new company. That, this being 10 years in the industry helps. So what we do is we publish all the info from our old partners, current partners. So you can always say, you can just contact them directly, ask about us, check how we are in this relationship, read about us online. We are proud to say we never had any issues. There's no Reddit thread saying, okay, Silesia Games is this and that. We usually try to go in depth way, so he's happy. And we also have some testimonials as well. I'm not going to read them, but that kind of helps, and that's my everyday job. So that was like an introduction. I will show you now one of our projects, one specific game, and I'm going to guide you through the whole process from the start to the end, how basically it looks with any game. So the game is Hammerhelm. It's a nice mix of RPG, action, and some management. I'll show that later in the details. And that's the whole road. So from the first contact through NDA, through negotiation, and then we have, of course, porting, marketing, and the release, and the support. I'm going to try to cover that all. So what is Hammerhelm? It's a mixture of action. As you can see, we have a dwarf fighting there, but not only that. We have a town management, we have a crafting, we have crops, so resource management, of course quests, NPCs and so on, and the whole game is 3D, and that was our most advanced project up to date back then. So we decided to move from simple games to this one, and it was a really, really challenging project. I will tell you why in a bit. So what was Hammerhelm back then? It was solo developed, 3 years till early access, and then another 4 years. So quite a long time. But as you can imagine, a single guy, a lot of code. I think he had some help, like with small graphical projects within the game, but 90-something% was done by one person only, which is quite impressive, you ask me. Only on Steam, later on Epic, price was $15, and then I cannot say too much because of NDAs, of course, but let's call it unclear. The situation with the current developer was just that. He had, publisher. He had a publisher, he had an agreement. This publisher released the game on Steam, but then kind of stopped, and that's where we moved in and we released on all consoles. But unfortunately, the publisher started the process with Xbox. He didn't touch PlayStation or Switch, but on Xbox it was like in the middle, so we need to kind of rewind the whole process, and I was involved with that, and there was a lot of emails, let's say, to get that straight. But the last part is the more important one. This guy, the main drive was that he had a desire to reach more players, because he spent so much time and effort on this game that he was not happy to have it only on PC. He wanted to have it globally on all consoles, so that the code, the actual product can reach the most players that's possible. And we really like that. We are kind of like that ourselves. Within a year, we released quite a lot of games. We had different projects going on, but we are very happy when we increase in the whole downloads number, because pretty soon this year we're gonna reach 1 million, right? So if I think about it, I'm coming from a town that's 40,000 people live in, so it impresses me. It makes an impression on me, and that's the goal, to make it even more popular. So that's the guy. We started with the NDA, of course, and that was actually a mutual NDA. So we are covering his assets, but also ours. We have procedures that not necessarily want to share with everybody, and also it's a document that shows that he willingly gave us his code, which is also important. But of course, the main thing is protection of the developer, that we cannot use the code or sell the code other than specified in the agreement. And a word of advice, if you're talking with different publishers and this doesn't come up first from their side, I would have a red lamp, okay? If they just say, okay, send us the code, then I would reconsider, to be honest. So we signed the deal, we signed the agreement, then we looked at the code, and that was in Unity, and as you can imagine, a lot of code for the 3D games, so many different genres mixed. And we did spend about a week or two, because that's usually what we do, on checking the code. But we do check it not looking for bugs necessarily. We're looking for plugins, because there's usually not just the main Unity stuff, core, but there are also some external plugins. And that's really important, because sometimes there are plugins that are supported by Steam, but there are no versions for consoles. And we need to know that beforehand. There is a way around it, because you can sometimes replace plugins, or even, we have coders, right? So they can find a way, but it's better to know that in advance, not in the middle of the process. Unfortunately, from the perspective, we discovered that this particular project, we should spend probably like a month checking it, because there were a lot of issues that came up later on that kind of surprised us. But nowadays we would spend definitely more time, because we have bigger stuff as well. But that's life. You have a new project. This was a really advanced one for us, so we had to deal with it. So now the funny part, terms and conditions. Thankfully, the situation on Switch and PlayStation was clear, so we could just put it in contract and almost immediately start working on it, because there was no process started from the old publisher. What we usually do is we work on a commission, we only get paid after the game is released and it earns, and we make sure that Dev gets the bigger chunk, because that's his baby. And so we invest. Our development process, our porting process is the investment for us. We take risks as well, because not all games make profits exceeding our porting cost. And the developer gets the part of the profit by not doing the porting part. So in the meantime, we were sorting the Xbox, and I mentioned that already, that I was involved. And basically, if I remember right, only after reaching the third department, we managed to sort this out, because I was constantly redirected between people. And funny enough, like with Microsoft, that's a corporation, so you never reach the actual guy. So you write an email to a general email, and you get many answers from different people. So when I managed to reach the person that really wanted to help us, I addressed him by his name, and I think he saw that, and he was kind of dealing with our case, and that helped. So this process alone took a few months. I'm not exaggerating this. In the end, it came down to, even if everything else is done digitally, in the end, this old publisher need to print a piece of paper, sign it, scan it, send it to the Xbox. We had to do the same, and that helped. Okay, so that really surprised me that Microsoft wanted that as the solution to the problem. But anyway, we managed it. We set a time frame. We wanted to start at the late January of 2002, and we started with Switch, I believe. So this slide, I apologize, there'll be a lot of text. Oh, by the way, the whole presentation can be downloaded. If you contact me, I can send you a PDF, so there's no photos or notes necessary if you want. This was a lot of preparation to do that slide, and that's kind of, please treat it as an estimate, because it's not as easy as, okay, we finished that version, then we stopped, and then we started on PlayStation and Xbox. It kind of mixed. It was fluctual. So we aimed at 6 months till release, but it turned out that it was actually 18. A lot of troubles to solve really along the line, and not only from our side, because when I talked about checking the code, we would take longer now. It turned out that during the porting process, we discovered game-breaking bugs that were in the original code that not even developer or the players from Steam found it before. So we need to go back to the dev, he needed to fix it, send us the patch, we need to port the patch, and it was difficult also from the perspective of how long the code was, because he was often referring to the specific code line, but his code line didn't match our code line because our code was already ported. So we need to develop a process how to call it by procedures and point exactly where we should have update. And so we did. So there are a few steps here, like testing, like certification phase, which I already explained, digital store content. But the highlights of the word trailer is not by accident. We believe that is the single most important asset when it comes to promoting the game. Obviously, we still do contact reviewers, YouTubers, we do social media posts, etc., YouTube, but the actual trailer on the store page, if it's Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox, we believe gets the most results that are possible. That's why we put very much focus on it, and I'm going to show you the trailer for this game. It's only 1 minute long, so please bear with me. I think you might like it.
Without a stronghold and a clan, what's the worth of a dwarf? I think I found that out. I dared to dream about life on the surface, and for that, they wanted to banish me to exile. So I exiled myself. At first, I was alone. But then, with my hard work, others soon followed. Over time, we've built ourselves an impressive place. I was in exile. Now, I'm a local hero. And my hard work just never ends.
Okay. I didn't take part in filming of this, unfortunately. I have some other projects that I took part. But working with actors, working with my colleague here, Adam, a filmmaker, it's really exciting. It's like the next level to my job, and it's really, every project is different, so that's like a benefit to me as well. I believe this trailer for sure helped us sold a lot of copies. Let's call it that. We cannot tell exact because we didn't release the game without the trailer, so we don't know. We cannot go back, but I believe that helped us, and that's exactly where it should be displayed. Okay, a person who goes to the store page, who wants to make a decision if this game is for him or not, or for her, he pretty much always clicks on the trailer. Of course, pictures as well, photos and snapshots, but I believe this trailer sells. So, the release time. And as I said, we released on 3 platforms, and we wanted to synchronize it because then the impact of the marketing is the biggest, we believe. The date is 1 day apart, and why? Xbox always want to go first. So basically, that's like a requirement from them. We always take 1 day apart. It's not a big deal. We do it so they are happy, and it's still the impact of the social media marketing and trailer is still there. So we released on all 5 platforms, old generation, current generation, and then Switch. We kept the price from Steam, and that was a mistake. It could be lower, I'll tell you later. And then, of course, we offered after-release support because once the player base expanded after releasing, it turned out there's still a few bugs were found in the game. So we, of course, helped to fix them and make the game better. So Hammerhelm now. Obviously, released on 5 different platforms, and now we have a cooperation with Super 6. But that was quite interesting. I cannot show you the exact numbers of downloads, of course, but to see that PlayStation outplayed other consoles, other platforms so much was quite a surprise for us. We suspected that PlayStation will have the biggest chunk in the pie because pretty much the games that shows fighting, that are perceived a bit more hardcore, not only for kids, sells more on PlayStation. Xbox, in our experience, is more relaxed platform. Like we have a lot of indie games based on a hidden object genre with cats. So this is like a hit on Xbox. So we really see that differentiation. On Switch, we suspected it will be the lowest because probably the screen size, a lot of menus, it's pretty much more comfortable playing on a big screen. But this ratio we would never suspect. And what's more interesting, from PlayStation, more copies sold on PS5 than PS4, which is really counterintuitive because there are more for PS4 platforms out there. And actually, our game doesn't run that much better on PS5. It's not a surprise. It's like you can only see the difference in the big AAA games, let's say, less loading time, etc. Here, very similar looking versions, and still PS5 had more downloads. So that's what I said. It's not with all, but with most projects, it's really better to consider porting to all consoles. So our partner now. What happened to Jonathan? In the meantime, he released a new game called Pirate Dragons. As you can imagine, it's about pirates and dragons. That was in March. I asked him about the game, and I'm going to read that. That's probably too small for you back there. And he said a very nice, very cool thing. The game was more of a labor of love, and it hasn't sold well. But I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make a game with dragons. So that's the kind of guy he is. He has, first of all, he has a desire to reach players. He had an idea, he wanted to make it, he made it, and that was his main drive. Probably his main job pays well enough for him not to worry about money, as somebody said there in the back earlier. And that's cool, that's really nice, and I really hope he has a success with the game, because the reviews, not so many of them so far, but the reviews are good. And also, he had some nice words about us. I'm not gonna read that, but his testimonials is also on our website. So he's happy with the results he got. We are happy that we managed to release the game, which was really challenging, as I said, on different factors. So a few things to remember. Okay. Because it's not for you, like, okay, things you have to remember from this lecture. It's really more for us, because we obviously learned from this project quite a lot. First, each project can be challenging, even if you made 60 or now more than 70 of them. The biggest challenges in this one were the vast amount of code. Because, as I said, it was quite difficult to even predict the troubles we will run into when it comes to testing, when it comes to modification of the code, when it comes to bug fixing, and we just need to deal with it along the process. For other games, the challenges, unfortunately, can be that the game is just not good enough. Okay, we think it looks cute, it sold okay on Steam, but for example, on Switch, the crowd is more, what's the word? More expecting better results, and just doesn't sell well. Okay, that happens as well. Other challenges can be like it's so difficult to market, for example, because it's so niche. Maybe on Steam there are more passionate players of that niche, not so much on consoles. So now we're trying to be very, very strict, let's call it, when it comes to choosing the right project, because we do not want to fail down the developer, of course. We don't want to make games just for the sake of making it. We did that 70 plus times. We have a lot of games in our portfolio. We also would like to work on more and more advanced projects every time. So we are more selective now when it comes to projects, but still a very simple games, if they just look nice and are well made and the code is wrote in a nice manner and everything is clear. And the contact, of course, with the developer is also good, because if the contact starts with, okay, how much will you pay me? I have this and this requirements. You should do it this way. You should sign an additional agreement with me. It's not a good start. Let's just call it, okay? Okay. So agreement is one thing. Of course, we should honor it as much as we can. But being flexible is also the key. We could have many moments where we could say, okay, let's not move forward because the game should be finished and it's full of bugs and we're losing time on it and resources, and let's finish it. Also, the developer could say, well, guys, you promised 6 months and now it's a year and the game is not released. But this project was so challenging that we had an understanding that, okay, that's what we predicted, but actually more time is needed. And each side was okay with it, and we wanted to take it to the finish line, and we did, and I'm so happy with it. So important thing to remember. I also already mentioned the price issue. Probably because we spent so much time on it, and developer also spent many years on the project. We wanted to have as much return as possible on the downloads, so that we kept the price $15 from the Steam. But that was a mistake, and we probably would sell more when the price was below 10, because especially on Switch there are like these limits. So you can set games under $5, under 10, etc. And we believe this game should be priced around maybe $9. But that was a discovery we made later on, so that was a bit of overlooking on our part. So that's one of advice I can give you. Also, there are few examples from our experience when it was the other way around. Dev wanted to sell as many copies, have many downloads on Steam, that he said the price very low. And from our experience, it doesn't make sense to set the price below $3. So $3 is pretty much the starting price for us. And sometimes if it's lower, then we're going to increase it to 3. So it doesn't have to match. Already mentioned that it's nearly impossible to predict which console will perform best. That's why where it makes sense, when the game looks nice for each platform, it's better to spend a bit more time, but release it on all 3. And that's why the resources for porting and releasing are quite significant if you want to do it yourself. And let's not forget about this one. Okay, we're making games, so let's have some fun about it. Let's be positive about it. It's not like end of the world, especially if you do it as a side project. Okay, if this is your main source of income, then it's a different story. But Look around, everybody is relaxed here. I think I'm the only guy with the button here tied, so because I have a lecture. But it's very easy to talk to guys from Activision, from Techland, and start a relationship and you meet some people. So we really are privileged. It's not like we are working in banking with everything is like very, very strict. So thank you very much. That's pretty much it. Just one second. Okay, sorry, I should probably not interrupt you when you're clapping me. But one more word. If you want to scan this, it's like a mail to link to me. So there's a contact for myself. I can send you the free PDF version of the presentation if you want, or we can just make contact this way. And yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Chris. Also, the presentation will be available on YouTube after the conference, so you can rewatch the presentation. And are there any questions?
Oh, do I just speak up?
Yes.
Okay, so
do you
if I
want
understand this correctly, the developers approach you, and then you take over the publishing for the consoles, so you invest your resources to make the port, and you publish it to the various consoles, right? So what I wanted to ask is, what is like the common revenue share model? Like, how do you split the revenues with the developers? Like, do you split it by percentage from the very first sale or the consoles? Or do they first have to pay off like your investment, and from then on you split by percentage? Like, what's the most common models for this?
Literally is the first question everybody asks, but thank you for that. So you can ask it. No, seriously. The percentage-wise, it's quite difficult to say, like, because if I say it's usually this, then everybody will start from this number, but it really depends on the project, on the complexity of the project. It's not 10, not 20, okay? It's not 50, let's call it in this region, okay? But I think that the second part of your question was more interesting, which was about the cost reimbursement, yeah? We do not do that. As I said, we treat it as an investment, so there's no cost for developer at all, with one small asterisk. When it comes to translations, we believe the game should be translated to languages that we want to release in. Okay, if we decided we want to have it released in French, Spanish, and I don't know, Korean, then the translation files should come from the developer. We're talking about a few hundreds euros, basically, if you use professional company. Other than that, no cost. From the very first month of sales, we split. Of course, the console takes 30%, and the remaining 70% we split according to the contract.
Yes.
You said about the problems about Switch porting. What about the porting for Sony and Microsoft? Is a lot of either or is it flawless?
Which part do you refer to? Which troubles? Oh, okay, yes. Certification part is again a lot of checkboxes you need to check in. That's true for all consoles, and also they are different. So the frequency of SDK changes for PlayStation will be different than for Nintendo. The forms would look different. The way you can do it will be also different. Some require email. Some on PlayStation you need to everything. You have a ticket for it, so you need to register like on a forum and do it this way, which is, I believe, slower. But when it comes to trailers, it's also interesting because, okay, that might be not true this moment because we actually want to reinvestigate that. But a year or two ago, we approached Sony and Microsoft to release live action trailers as well on their platforms. And basically, Sony just rejected us, and Microsoft said that they prefer not to. Okay, we didn't understand why. They prefer just to have trailers with action of the game, maybe not to confuse players what is game, what is not, which I think is quite dumb because it's obvious. But also, there was one specific feedback that they did not want to show people playing Xbox controllers. And I have no idea why. So we want to reinvestigate that because we have a lot of trailers that we can show them to and say, look, that's how we do it. Maybe they suspected us to do it like in a very amateur way, or I don't know. I think this looks quite professional. So maybe we'll try to convince them, because obviously the big names in the industry, they do release those trailers. Maybe they treat just indie people there, like that. It's a building relationship, and that's also what we do. So we'll approach this topic again, and hopefully we'll go past it.
You can say in which publishing process, porting and certification is easier and harder on which console?
Okay, if we talk about time consuming, it's pretty much the same. Okay. Okay, for us, if you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would say Switch is the easiest, because we made over 70 projects on Switch, and we made like something like 10, 20 on PlayStation and Xbox. So we're still gaining experience, right? But not that much different time consuming, I'd say.
I think we have time for only the last question.
Okay. Thank you. It's always lovely to hear someone with experience from the live environment, from the industry. I hope a pretty complex question. I hope it will not take much time. Is that in the end, while working in the industry, we want to have benefits. We want to gain money from the products we are releasing. Did you have any situations, scenarios that after consulting with a developer or with a partner, you suggested that in some cases developing a console version, not every possible console, but for a specific console, it's not good for the project?
Of course, yes. That's what I said about being more selective and strict now. In the very beginning, of course, we wanted to make a name out for ourselves. We have accepted a lot of projects. Some of them, on some of them, we lost money. Basically, our cost of development never we got back. But that's, I think, a part of the process, part of the learning. But now I think we are at the stage in our development when we can pretty much say which game should work on which platform. I mentioned that a bit already, that more casual on Xbox, more hardcore on PlayStation, Switch, and acute games kind of like work best, and also not a lot of interface, because of the screen is small. But we need to play the game. Okay, that's actually the first step. So we always ask about the codes for the keys for Steam, for example. We play it, we look at the code, and then we can decide. Usually, we advise for Switch at least. Okay, if we believe that the game is not fit for Switch, we don't really consider other platforms, because Switch is like our main one at the moment, for example, for indie game. It could be the other way around. If the game is a lot of 3D, then we could say, oh, it's going to be very hard to optimize it for Switch, and then doesn't make sense spend much time on it, because again the screen is so small, and of course you can put it on with the TV Connect, but we always show that it's mobile, that you can take it in anywhere. So we do have some guidelines. It's very hard to answer your question specifically, but based on our experience, we can guide the developer towards the right console. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. It was a pleasure.